So an Irish lesbian walks into a shrink's office. She begins. I need help. I've always been a go-getter. Everyone looks to me for support, but I've gone overboard. I just was hired as the executive director of a large national gay rights organization, and now I feel like I'm in charge of all the gays. For those of us who live and work in and around nonprofits, you get that. Feels like everything matters. At least that's how it did that day to this Irish lesbian. This intensity all came to a head for me in Chicago one afternoon at a board meeting. My development director, Julie, arrives, and I look at her, and there are wires protruding from her blouse. I notice. She's quick. She says, wait, don't worry, Joan. It's just a heart monitor. I'm having some heart issues. Okay, so what do you think I did? I sent her home, right? She took the next flight back to LA, right? No. Silence. And that was one great board meeting, by the way. And fortunately, Julie did not die. That was the day I began to refer to as the time I almost killed my development director. After that, I became a lot more conscious that my management and leadership style was actually making people sick. Because think about it. When you're trying to save even a small part of the world, there's no margin for error. A father to toddler could sleep on a subway if the legal aid organization doesn't get the check to the landlord. A battered woman has no escape if she doesn't know that the shelter down the street even exists because it doesn't have the money to market itself. There's no way out. It's big stuff. So I thought a lot about the intensity of nonprofits relative to typical corporate nonprofits. And here's what I think about, here's how I see a typical corporate nonprofit job. Some peaks, some valleys, and a few lulls thrown in for good measure. But when you take a job in a nonprofit you care passionately about, it looks more like this. And it is the land of this red line that I lived in for nearly a decade as an executive director, so much so that my staff began to refer to me using Starbucks cups metaphors. How's Joan today, they'd say. Steer clear. She's a venti. But after the Julie incident, I really woke up. I paid attention, and I learned 3 valuable lessons I'd like to share with you. Lesson number 1, give your staff the permission to juggle poorly. At a nonprofit, you will always be handed too many balls to juggle. So the goal is not to keep balls from dropping, but to work together as a team to make intentional decisions about which balls to drop. It's about accepting failure. It's about prioritizing. Lesson number 2, be a real person. After the heart monitor incident, there was another board meeting, and my IT director, Eason, was giving a rather dry proposal when this image appeared. After everyone stopped laughing, what happened? The meeting became more focused and we got a lot more done. And I encouraged pets to appear in every board presentation thereafter. In the corporate world, of course, it's important to ask about the pets, the kids, and the weekend. But in nonprofits, it feels non-negotiable. And third, and lastly, be a champion of joy and purpose. The Harvard Business Review and the Energy Project, which works with companies to improve productivity and engagement, partnered on a study. What are the key influences in job satisfaction and engagement? Number one influence, purpose. People who derive meaning and significance from their job are 3 times more likely to be engaged in their work and stay put in their jobs. And so, to my fellow nonprofit warriors, we are wearing the ruby slippers. Because our work, it's all about purpose. And so your role as a champion of purpose cannot be underestimated. Create opportunities to engage your staff in the work. Let them touch and feel it in real ways. You wouldn't think twice about inviting a donor to ride on a truck to deliver produce to a food pantry. But would you ever think about inviting your receptionist? You know, that person who meets every single person who comes through the door? Can you imagine what a difference that would make for the receptionist and the people who come through the door? Once upon a time, I may have been a venti who saw nothing wrong with seeing a staff member on a heart monitor. But I really do hope that what they felt from me was the real sense of privilege and joy that I felt in that work. Because it is that privilege and that joy that will enrich, that will engage, and that will enable you to do the best possible work for the clients and stakeholders who deserve nothing less from you.